to the members of the Management Executive Committee, members of the extended management team, members of Senate, all academics and support services staff, the Student Representative Council, students of the university, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to address you on this occasion to mark the official opening of the university for the 2026 academic year. Let me start by welcoming all our staff back from the summer break. I hope you are able to get some rest and share special moments with your families and friends. I also wish to welcome all our returning students and hope that they will continue to work towards completing their studies. Most importantly, this is a special welcome to over 4,000 new first-time students who join us from all corners of the country and beyond. I wish them all the best in their new journey at the University of Fort Hare. Today, I'm giving the 10th and the last opening address at the University of Fort Hare. My first address was on the 2nd of February 2017. And coincidentally, this year's address was originally scheduled for the 2nd of February 2026. What a coincidence. Before I address, in this address, I want to do more than just declaring the start of the academic year. I intend to reflect briefly on the time I've been working at the University of Fort Hare. So I'll start off, therefore, by looking at the past so I can see the future. When I was preparing this address, I felt it was important for me to go back to the first speech I gave in 2017. Looking at that speech, now I was surprised by the bold tone of the speech, quite bold, assertive, and yet it was only my second day on the job. The propositions and pronouncements I made were equally bold, and this surprised me because I had very little background on the university. So let me share these 10 or 11 propositions or pronouncements that I made very briefly. The first one will interest you. Our communication, this is me now, all of this I'm saying word for word. I said, our communication and marketing leaves a lot to be desired. Now, this coming from a person who was in the job for this, on the second day of the job was quite astounding and bold and cheeky. We do not seem to be optimizing the opportunities arising out of our iconic status, and the reach of our communication efforts seems to be extremely limited. In addition, I do not believe that we're doing enough to communicate the good news and achievements of the institution in this current period. Then I moved on and presented the second proposition. I said, the physical look of the campuses, particularly the grounds and lawns, appears to be poorly maintained. This seems to be more the case in the Alice campus, yet we have a contractor responsible for gardening and related services. The third proposition, I said the refurbishment of residences and other buildings in Alice is impressive. However, a closer examination shows that there are places where workmanship and aesthetics of the refurbishments leave much to be desired. This raises an incredibly important point about the management of contracts and the monitoring of quality of services we source outside. Then I moved to the fourth proposition and I said, I will uphold and protect the right of all members of the university community to protest in order to raise their concerns and to hold management accountable. But we need to reach consensus about what is acceptable protest and what is not. This debate is not only for students and workers, it is for all of us, including those that are impacted by these protest actions. The fifth proposition, I said, we need an ethos of service. We need to build and strengthen the ethos that we as management, administrators, support service workers, and even student leaders are here to serve. It is imperative that we treat all those we serve with dignity and respect at all times. Sixthly, I said, despite the improved performance in research and postgraduate training, such performance continues to rest on the shoulders of a few academics and postgraduate supervisors. This is going to have to change. Every academic has to be research active and contribute to the productivity of the university. Likewise, every member of the academic staff should be involved in the supervision of postgraduate students, particularly at master's and doctoral levels. Then I went to the seventh. I said, our alumni relations remain an area of severe weakness. Since the news of my appointment, I've received congratulatory messages from many alumni, many of whom express frustration with the lack of activities that involve them. Many are concerned about the future of our university and would like to contribute to efforts to regenerate and strengthen it. However, they believe that there are no avenues for their involvement, and others fear that financial contributions may end up being used for purposes other than those intended. Number 8, I said I'm aware there have been animated debates about the multi-campus situation at UFH, especially in relation to Alice in East London. The potential for fragmentation and inefficiencies as a result of the long distance between Alice and East London continues to worry me. But I take comfort from the fact that the position of Alice as the main campus is undisputed. I will therefore spend most of my time at the main campus in Alice. For this purpose, the Vice-Chancellor's residence in Alice is being renovated, and I will use it as a residence and as a place for university meetings and functions. Number 9, despite UFH's reputation as a training ground for political leaders, the university's contribution to public discourse remains extremely weak. Researchers and academics who dominate public debates and whose research informs these debates tend to come from about 4 or 5 of the country's universities, and UFH is not among them. Number 10, I said, the decrepit condition of Alice makes it difficult for us to fulfill its role as a university town. The University of Fort Hare is therefore poorly served in several respects. Poor services such as water and electricity, severe shortages of housing for students and staff, shortages of amenities such as hotels, restaurants, and recreational services, the absence of decent schools for children of staff and students. And all of this makes the university and the town unattractive for academic and admin staff, as well as students. It is imperative that we work jointly with the municipal authorities, provincial and national government, to join hands to regenerate the town. Equally important is the involvement of the private sector by investing in residential property and in the provision of services and amenities that are essential in a university town. Finally, number 11, the links of the university to communities surrounding communities seems to be limited. Indeed, it would appear that the pressures of poverty and inequality in communities on the one hand, and the financial and other difficulties facing the university on the other, have resulted in inward-looking orientations on both sides. It is my view that a significant proportion of research conducted by the university should address itself to the issues experienced in the communities, in the municipality, and the province as a whole. So this is me arriving at the university. I made bold by saying all of these things on which I had zero background. But I'm very pleased to say that the speech was very well received. I may have received a standing ovation even, which of course was great. But I was to discover soon thereafter that after that speech, that the problems facing the university ran much deeper than I realized. The base was extremely low, and there were many inside and outside the university who had given up on the University of Fort Hare. Here was an iconic institution that was celebrated far and wide, but was bedeviled by poor administration and weak governance processes and structures. Policies were either outdated or, in some places, non existent. In the meantime, numerous incentives and benefits constituted a heavy burden on the resources of the university. Many were aware that fraud and corruption were endemic in the institution, and that fraud and corruption continued to corrode the fiber of the university. The academic enterprise was weak, and some programs were severely compromised. Finally, the university was extremely unstable, with frequent student and staff protests that resulted in the disruption of administration, teaching, learning, and research. So, that's the university I found. And therefore, it means from the word go, I came, and those who joined the university with me, and those I found here, basically, we were forced to shoulder this burden of history, this burden of instability, and this burden of malfunctioning. The magnitude of the challenges facing the institution called for radical and bold strategies, and a cohort of administrators who were not afraid to disrupt the work of rogue elements inside and outside UFH. History had left the institution with a huge burden of problems: administrative, financial, governance-related, and political. In addition, the work culture had been poisoned by many years of operating as a Bantustan university, with the result that the work ethic of many staff left a lot to be desired. To compound matters, the institution got captured to a significant degree by a combination of business and political interests who sought to exercise power through proxies among the staff and the students. The approach behind what we later called the decade of renewal, the strategic plan, was to unburden the institution from these problems and to deny space or spaces to business and political operators who had captured the institution. Some of the measures of success of the renewal were the following. During the period that I'm looking at until now, we've managed to put in place sound financial management and sound processes to assist that. As a result, we've had unqualified audit outcomes for 4 consecutive years up to now, which is in itself a major, major achievement, given that the university in living memory I could not be reminded of any time when it had last had an unqualified audit opinion. We also strengthened the academic enterprise. We did a review of the enterprise. We cleaned up the PQM. We put in place new programs. Quality of postgraduate training improved considerably. Academic accolades to our students were yet another example of the achievements that we have notched up. We put in place a strong research culture. We increased research outputs. We dealt with predatory journal publications. And more research chairs we established, such that this year we have 7 of those from a low base where we had 1 and then we started building up. We also have a new portfolio. We unbundle teaching and learning from research so that we can strengthen research and hence the new RPI portfolio. We also achieved a major reduction of disruptive and violent protests. We also put in place strong performance in sports by our students. Or rather, we achieved strong performance in sports. As a result, during this time, our male rugby students achieved the Varsity Shield in 2022, and in 2024, our women won the Varsity Cup tournament. In addition, our female soccer players also achieved a major feat by being part of the Super League and have been kind of finishing the tournament in very, very strong positions. I think they're number 6 as I speak, out of 16. We've also done more to pay attention to infrastructure, new developments, and maintenance. We completed the student village project, and we've put up other new projects as well as maintenance. And I won't go through all of those now. We also paid more attention to marketing, communication, and reputation management during this time. As a result, what we look like now, if you look us in the mirror, you'll find we're a very different institution, both in terms of the messaging, the messages that we put out there, but how we are perceived by our peers in other institutions. We've also taken a lot of drastic steps to prosecute those committing fraud and corruption. I can go on detailing the number of cases, and I'll touch on this again later. We've also improved relations with external stakeholders, and many of these have been project-based, such as the Alice Water Treatment Works project, which we ourselves built for about 60 million rand. Now, coming closer to now, where we are now, 2025, I call it here a year of contrast for the university. Normally, the official opening dwells on successes and challenges of the past year, in which, in this case, it would have been 2025. Although I cover the other issues in this address, I need to make some remarks about this year, 2025, particularly because of the spectacular achievements we recorded on the one hand, and the mayhem and criminal acts of October 2025 on the other. Although the year was marked by large-scale destruction of university infrastructure, we have maintained that this should not define the year 2025 for UFH. Instead, we should remember the year for the significant progress and renewal achieved across the institution. A major focus was the academic recruitment involving 60 academic posts, as well as the filling of senior management vacancies. New academic staff joined us during the year, invigorating our academic project, while senior management appointments have strengthened leadership across all areas of the university, with tangible improvements already evident. In support of academic renewal, heads of departments were appointed across the university for the newly established academic departments, following the approval of the revised organogram at the end of 2023. A key project currently underway is the finalization of space consolidation and allocation of spaces to faculties and support service departments. This will further embed the new faculty and departmental organograms and also create identities for all divisions, departments, and units within the university. Another achievement, significant achievement, is the continued improvement in the qualifications and research profile of academic staff. The percentage of academic staff holding PhDs today stands at 65.4%, and the university boasts 54 NRF-rated researchers. Again, these are major achievement that are at the core of how a university is defined. The university received excellent news regarding the establishment of 3 additional NRF-funded research chairs last year. In 2021, UFH had only 3 research chairs. The recent award of 3 more such chairs, together with the successful application of for a UNESCO chair in culture and African heritage, increases the number to 7, an exceptional milestone. The university also received a major endowment of 24 million rand from Anglo Gold Ashanti for a bursary scheme to be implemented over the next 5 years. Significantly, about half this amount is earmarked for bursaries for dependents or descendants of current or former mine workers, which makes a great deal of sense given that Anglo Gold Ashanti was built on resources from the mining industry. Another highlight was the approval by Senate of the university's internationalization and partnership strategy. This important development addresses a long-standing need to guide UFH's approach to global engagement and institutional partnerships. There is new energy in the International and Partnership Office, which will stand the university in good stead. Significantly, progress was made towards establishing a Faculty of Veterinary Sciences. Following Senate approval, Council endorsed the introduction of a Bachelor of Veterinary Science program and authorized submissions of the program for approval by DHET. Council also approved the establishment of a Faculty of Veterinary and Agricultural Sciences, which will be implemented once PQM approval is granted, and we're waiting for that anytime this year. A DHET grant of 80 million was approved for phase 1 of the veterinary science facilities at Honeydale Farm, together with a detailed funding plan for veterinary sciences. 7 new university policies were approved this past year. 2 of these are from the legal office, 1 from postgraduate studies and postdoctoral fellowship department, and 1 from research office, and 1 from the registrar's office, 1 from the international office, and 1 from ICT. The policies, I will mention them very quickly. The policy and procedures for postgraduate academic admissions and selections, the policy on procedures for adjunct, honorary, and fellowships and visiting appointments, the policy on honorary degree awards, the mobile policy for the provision and regulation and use of business cellular equipment at UFH, the policy and procedures for collaborative master's and doctoral degrees, protection of personal information policy, contracts management policy and procedures. In addition, 6 policies were revised and updated, an important achievement, especially as some were significantly out of date. One of these is from the legal office, 2 from finance, 1 from marketing and communications, 1 from the DVC Research Partnership and Innovation Office, and an appointed task team, and 1 from properties and services. And these are the policy and procedure for the promotion of academic and research staff, the occupational health and safety policy, the policy on naming and renaming of university-owned buildings, facilities and spaces, rules for student discipline, supply chain management policy, travel and subsistence policy. Another milestone was reached when the Management Executive Committee approved the spatial development framework for all 3 campuses on 13 January 2025, laying a strong foundation for planning, including consolidation of the East London campus. After years of delays due to contractor liquidation, the Early Childhood Development Building in East London, construction of which began in 2017, has finally been completed. This state-of-the-art facility will significantly advance early childhood care and education in the Eastern Cape and across South Africa. Construction of the Faculty of Health Sciences flagship 31 million simulation laboratory has been completed. The 2 phases of the project involve structural alterations and advanced laboratory installation. This facility is a game changer for the Faculty of Health Sciences. A new office for the gender-based violence prevention and gender diversity office in East London was launched last year, following completion of the office in Alice in 2024. Phase 1 of the refurbishment and research of the research farm has been completed. This too has been a long-standing concern, so the excellent work that has been done is an important step towards establishing the Faculty of Veterinary Sciences. The next phase will involve construction of an animal clinic. In the ICT governance area, both a business continuity plan and a disaster recovery plan were approved by the Audit, Risk and Information Technology Committee, addressing long-standing gaps in institutional readiness and resilience. With regard to academic administration, a number of digital initiatives were implemented this year, and strong progress is being made in moving the university away from all manual systems. University has reached a stable environment for tracking student progression, exclusions, and graduate identification. In particular, student tracking is now fully operational using ITS and Power Header. For the media assessments, the system successfully identifies students at risk, modules at risk, and qualifications at risk. The project has been jointly driven by academic administration, ICT, and the faculties. On the financial front, the university achieved its fourth consecutive unqualified audit in 2025, for 2024 rather, for the 2024 financial year, an outstanding achievement and accomplishment by our finance department and the university. In the area of marketing and communications, the university has won awards at the annual MACE Awards for excellence in marketing communications in South Africa and higher education. 24 awards, 24 awards. We're proud of our talented colleagues who contributed to this success. A further highlight was the launch of the university's new WordPress website on the 3rd February 2025. Renewal at the university is a continuing project. Whilst we have suffered losses and setbacks this year, and a lot remains to be done, we must accelerate the significant progress achieved this year. At the same time, it is necessary to redouble our efforts to provide a conducive, dignified environment for our staff and students and address long-term backlogs in maintenance and refurbishment. For this reason, it was a real setback to lose some of the newly refurbished infrastructure in Alice, including the clinic and the agricultural building with its refurbished laboratories. There was a time, only a few weeks ago, well, a few months now, when we are unsure whether we'd be able to save the academic year 2025. Yet, through sheer determination and commitment, we all made it possible. To our staff members who worked tirelessly under immense pressures, the university owes a deep debt of gratitude. Likewise, our students made extraordinary efforts, often under difficult circumstances, to complete their academic work successfully. Unfortunately, we have not received support and assistance we expected from the law enforcement authorities during and after the criminal acts of October 2025. Nothing is being done to investigate the criminality that resulted in nearly 400 million damage to infrastructure in Alice and East London. The university is left in no doubt, with no option but to escalate matters to authorities at the national level. We have also decided to use other methods, find other methods of working with the authorities and submitting evidence at our disposal to them. I will also be making a proposal to the Management Executive Committee that we offer a financial reward to anyone who comes forward with verifiable evidence, whether it's WhatsApp messages, photos, videos, voice notes, money deposit slips, etc. Please look out for notices with further details on this, because we are very, very serious about it. And I'll be approaching the MEC to find dedicated funding for such rewards. I wish to take this opportunity to express our gratitude to everyone and every institution that offered us support and solidarity during the horrid episode of wanton violence last year. Their messages filled us with hope and encouragement and inspired our staff and students to stand for what is right. The university has at its core dedicated staff who are continuing to push the university forward and to build the institution of the future, sometimes at great cost to themselves. I want to thank everyone who went out of their way this last year to create a stronger, more vibrant, more resilient, and more critically engaged and more inspiring university, the University of Fort Hare. Now, as I move to conclude, I want to say a few remarks about the year 2026 and beyond. At a recent MEC workshop, we discussed and consolidated a list of priorities for 2026. Of course, priorities are just that, priorities. There's always more than just the priorities to be taken care of. Then there's always the longer list of items to tackle. So we're going to have another busy year at UFH this year. At the top of that, of the list of our priorities are the following: the implementation of the new organogram. All divisions are anxious about this item, and there's pressure in the institution to have vacancies filled. This also includes all vacancies with acting appointees on them. Secondly, we have to rebuild the infrastructure that was destroyed during the violent student protests. The Office of the Executive Director, Infrastructure and Technology, is developing a plan and consulting with all the relevant faculties and departments for the rebuilding. Thirdly, we have to develop new infrastructure. Infrastructure development will continue apace in 2026. At the top of the list, and again, the list is long, is the East London Student Centre, the new East London Student Centre, and we should be breaking ground very, very soon in the first or second quarter of the year. Also, the research hub in Alice, the money is there already, so we should get started with this one as soon as possible. The designs are also in their final stages of preparation. Then there's the extension of the Alice Library. Again, the funding has been allocated and we should receive it at the start of the new government financial year. Then the main entrance in Alice campus, again, the plans are done, they are approved. It's a matter of time before we break ground and renew the entrance to the university, which will be a breath of fresh air from what we have right now. The veterinary clinic at Honeydale, I've made reference to that. That also we have money. We have about 80 million for that in our account. And so that will start as soon as possible in the new year. And of course, there's the bigger task of developing the veterinary science campus at Honeydale Farm. Again, this is going to be a major undertaking for this university, which will take a couple of years to finalize. Number 4, the new Faculty of Veterinary and Agricultural Sciences has to be set up. This entails setting up an interim faculty office with an interim dean and relocating all agricultural department to the faculty. That's something that we're going to have to do this year. Number 5, we have to increase international and postgraduate student numbers. It is important that plans are developed early in the year and that resource needs, including bursaries, are identified early too. Number 6, we've agreed that we need to increase research outputs. I'm very thrilled to announce that for the year 2024, the figures have arrived from DHET. We're going to see a serious and significant increase up from our 2023 research productivity level, which is very, very pleasing. And I'm very sure that when it comes out alongside other universities, we're going to come definitely above the usual average. We're going to have to, in this regard, we're going to have to apply minimum norms and requirements for all academics. The days of unproductive academics who do not publish, who do not supervise students are over. Heads of departments, deans, and the deputy vice-chancellors must hold academics accountable. It is a known fact that there are academics who spend years and years without producing one shred of research. That is going to have to come to an end. Number 7, the finance department has undertaken to implement strategies to increase third stream income in 2026. We have many retail spaces in the university which are standing vacant or occupied by tenants who are not paying rent. Some of the spaces or buildings are at risk of being hijacked. We have just received information that a university house in town is being illegally occupied by someone who's running an old age home in Alice Town. And such is the loss of revenue to the university. And it's very important that we now bring that to an end. Many of our divisions will have to work together to ensure institutional stability at all levels, especially making sure that we do not have disruption of administration and teaching and learning in the institution. This year is going to require that we all keep and maintain cool heads so that the university can flourish. Some behaviors are going to have to stop. The practice, which is very common in this institution, where people spend time other than working, caucusing, having secret meetings, some of which have resulted in the unrest that we saw last year. staff members who conspire and connive with students to basically foment unrest, that is going to have to come to an end as well. Students who are getting involved with service providers, we're seeing a trend, and it's very, very concerning, where students go directly and talk to service providers, especially for leased accommodation for students. And it's something that is very worrying because it is a recipe for a lot of fraud and irregularities. We also have many staff who don't work from their offices. Many of them are sitting at home, and they will tell you that they're working from home. That has to be monitored. It's got to be brought to an end because it's very important. The university loses a lot of time, of productive time, by people who sit and pretend to be working from home while they're doing other things. The spreading of false, fake, and defamatory information on social media and many others, that needs attention. And I'm very pleased that our Department of Marketing and Communication is also thinking very hard about the best ways to kind of bring this under control. The sharing of confidential information with outside third parties is also very important, whether it's information via email, via WhatsApp, or other forms of information. It's again, those behaviors have got to come to an end. You will recall that there are several court processes that are pending this year. I feel that I should provide with a brief kind of a sketch of where we are at. The Petrus Roots murder, or the murder trial, is ongoing. It started last year around October. I already gave testimony, evidence to that trial. It's ongoing, and there are 3 people involved, and I expect that it will be wrapped up during the course of this year. I'm very confident. The Mboneli Vesele trial, which involves 8 people, including former employees, a policeman, a lawyer, and other people. It begins on the 16th of February. And again, I'm expected to go and testify in that trial. There's another case involving livestock theft in Alice. That trial is ongoing as well. There are 3 people involved. It began late last year. Then there's a fraud and corruption set of trials. There are 5 trials here involving 17 people and about several companies, 6 or 7 companies. That group of people has now been divided into 5 trials, and those started last year. They're happening at the Commercial Crimes Court in East London and in Mdantsane. And then there's a fraud and theft case of money from our bank account. 3 people, including a former acting CFO in this institution who now works somewhere else. That is to begin in March 2026. 3 other trials involving about 5 people are to begin in 2026. In addition, we have received several disciplinary referrals from the SIU, and we're assessing these on a case-by-case basis, and some of them have already moved to the stage of disciplinary hearings. And a few dismissals have already taken place. The rest of the year is going to be taken up by processes to recruit the next Vice-Chancellor of the university. Fortunately, I'm not part of that. I'm not involved in that. And I have no interest in who gets appointed. It's entirely up to council. In the meantime, I will continue to apply myself to the obligations of my contract with the university till the end of that contract at the end of January 2027. Now, talking about the future, and I'm now counting down. I have 11 months to go in this position. I have to keep reminding myself, but also to remind everyone else. And so I'm on borrowed time now. And I feel that there's so many things, but I also accept that there will be things I will not be able to change. But the direction, the pointers, the signal, I have been able to give to the institution in the last 9 years. So I'm not very worried about that. So As I count down, I thought I should share that I shall be returning to my life as an academic post-retirement, of course. My association with UFH will come to an end when I leave, and I will have no expectation of a position or role in the university. Instead, I will assume my role and voice as a sociologist, as an observer of developments in the country and the world. In this regard, I will share my experiences and insights on numerous subjects, including the following: the present and the future of higher education in South Africa. That's something that will continue to excite me, to concern me, to keep me curious, but also to drive and get me active. I will also maintain an interest in observing and sharing my insights about institutional capture in higher education in South Africa, because that's what it's been about. This job has been me like having a front row seat watching a movie of university capture. And I have opinions on it. I have opinions on it. Of course, I'll keep them to myself until I regain my voice, not as an administrator, but as myself. The third issue that's very important, that will concern me in the future, and I've spoken a little bit about it, but I'll say more. I'll have more. Again, I've had a front row seat in this regard, is the erosion of academic freedom and university autonomy in post-apartheid South Africa. It is frightening what's happening now, and I can go on and on about this. I've shared my insights elsewhere, and I will continue to share those and to write about that. And of course, the issue of transformation in higher education, public higher education in South Africa. I'll have views about this. Historically, many people talking about transformation think about transformation in former white universities. But what does transformation mean in a university that is historically black, such as this one? And again, I do have views. I've learned a lot during my time. So I have 11 months with all of you. I will not have this opportunity again. This is the last opening. So I want to take this opportunity um, uh, to thank you all, staff, students, and others that are part of the university system, for doing what they came here to do, making the university a great institution. It's been a privilege to serve at the university, and the 2026 academic year is hereby declared open, and I wish all the best to all of us, to all of you, and also the best of luck for the remainder of the year. On a final note, I just want to take this opportunity and welcome our new Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Teaching and Learning, Professor Matsepo Matwane, who joined us on the 5th of January. And again, I really think that we are in a very strong position as an institution. The leadership that I'm going to leave behind is solid and is up to the task of running this institution. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.